Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to the 3-day full body maximal results minimum time training program. Okay, so this program is designed for people that are busy but still want to make great hypertrophy and strength progress in the gym. Okay, ideal for intermediates and advanced. Okay, let's jump straight in. Why choose a full body training program? Well, a lot of people, I would say, move away from full body more so because they think that that one workout is going to be an extremely hard workout. But let me put your mind at rest and show you the training program before we start jumping to conclusions. First, benefits of the 3-day training program. So, effective or efficient training for all muscle groups, time with a busy schedule and limited potential gym time, balance developed all across all muscle groups, high intensity, high frequency training to adapt with recovery, and then suitable for athletes needing an all-round strength program. Okay, the full body training program approach means each majority muscle group is trained 2 to 3 times per week, optimizing both volume and recovery for consistent progress. I actually also recommend for some of my clients who are going through periods of time of recovery with an injury to potentially also move down to a full body training program. That frequency can sometimes be good for recovery of injuries, depending on the injury, of course. Now, what is the difference between a generalist program and a maximalist program? A generalist program is going to focus on compound movements and essential exercise, 2 to 3 training sessions per muscle group weekly, emphasis on recovery and sustainability, something we all need to emphasize, perfect for long-term sustainable progress. Okay. The maximalist program, on the flip side of that, targets every muscle group, multiple angles as well, numerous specialized exercises, often unsustainable for the long term and very time consuming and takes a lot of recovery demand. Okay. Our programs follow the generalist approach, getting the most growth for the least amount of work in this program. I do other programs, which of course you will have seen if you've seen the 5-day training program. That would be a little bit more towards maximalist, but still using some of the generalist frameworks as well. Getting the most growth in the least amount of work. We are not trying to hit every muscle from 50 different angles. We're optimizing efficiency whilst ensuring consistent progress. And most of the time, I feel like when you first get into the gym and you're in your first 2 to 3 years of training, you kind of opt towards maximalist because most of the time, generalizing here, you are young, you've got lots of time, and you're ready to work. Your recovery is probably pretty good. Generalist is definitely something that I would encourage most intermediate to advanced to move across to. Not only is it more consistent and easier to fit in, which in itself is something which will make it optimal, but also it can be pretty optimal when you set it up correctly. So here's the program structure. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is what I would generally recommend, but of course you could do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that. Monday is going to be our primary focus on chest, shoulders, back, quads, and arms. So full body. Wednesday is going to be a lighter day focused on quads, hamstrings, some supplementary work for prioritized muscles. So if you really want to build up your shoulders, you would obviously put more shoulder work on that day. And then Friday returns back to the majority or major muscle groups, similar to Monday session with different exercise variations than Monday. This balance structure allows for optimal frequency and recovery. Monday and Friday serve as those like anchor days, and Wednesday provides a bit of flexibility with additional stimulus on priority muscles for those that quickly recover, like shoulders. One thing I also say with this program is if you've got like a particularly busy week and you just tick off Monday and Friday session, you're doing what needs to be done sufficiently to retain muscle and strength. So we'll move into that in a second. Training majority major muscle groups. Okay, I don't know why I keep saying majority. Training major muscle groups. So chest, train twice weekly, Monday, Friday, and then the Wednesday session I like to maybe put in some shoulders, but we'll talk about that in a second, with some varieties. Back, chest supported rows. We don't want to overload the back if we're also going to be doing legs in that day, plus midweek pull downs. So mainly rows Monday, Friday, pull downs or accessory work on the Wednesday. Legs, quads 3 times per week, depending on your proportions, of course. I would say quads are kind of like a bit of a mirror muscle, as in you can see it a lot more. So people generally tend to train it. Hamstrings twice a week with varied movements. And then shoulders, we've got shoulder pressing and then lateral raise on the Wednesday. Remember, we are focusing on frequency and sustainability rather than exhaustive volume. 2 times quality sets per exercise, okay, is often sufficient to consist progress within this time frame. Okay, consistent progress within this time frame. 2 sets, working very hard, high levels of intensity, but it's done and dusted very quickly. Novelty or enjoyment. So key principles here. We want a vary exercise between session for psychological freshness. Select movements that target the similar muscles from different angles if we're going to be changing things. Prioritize exercises you enjoy and you can perform consistently. For example, if you're moving around gyms a lot, because sometimes this does happen when you're on a busy schedule, pick compound movements that you can do with a barbell and a dumbbell rather than machines. For example, chest supported row on Monday and then a different chest supported row on the Friday for different angles. Now, I quite like a horizontal chest supported row and then maybe doing like a high or a low chest supported row. You'll have some specifics later on. Enjoyment is crucial for any program. Okay, this is something that I say to a lot of my clients. There is optimal, and then there is a optimal level, which is something that is going to motivate you to get to the gym. If you're not going to get to the gym, we can basically say that that is 100% not optimal. Okay, if you don't enjoy the workouts and you're not going to do them, not optimal in the slightest. Ones that you look forward to doing whilst ensuring they are effectively targeting the intended muscle. Here's the sample of the weekly program. And it is a sample because at the end of the day, your specific focus areas, your enjoyment, like we just spoke about, will be different. But here is a bit of a structure that you can swap exercises out for. You'll notice all of these are 1 to 2 sets, maybe 3 on the seated hamstring curl, depending again on priority areas. Notice that the rep ranges are relatively low. We're mainly in that 6 to 8 rep range, and we're going to be training as far as we can go, basically. This sample program demonstrates the balanced distribution of training volume across the week. Notice how Mondays and Friday sessions are the major muscle groups, whilst Wednesday tends to be a bit of a supplementary work day that doesn't require as much recovery. Now, you might look at this and think, there's not much work in here. There's not many exercises in here. Will I be able to grow? Will I be able to even retain muscle? Let's go into the next one. So balancing your program. There's a few things we need to understand. First, draft the initial program. Distribute the main muscle groups across Monday and Friday. Those are your main focuses. And then assess balance. Check if workouts are relatively equal in volume and time for the focus areas. Adjust distribution. Shift exercises to Wednesday or between days as needed. If you don't have time to complete all your exercises on the Monday session, it ain't the end of the world. You can move that to a Wednesday. If you look at the average of the week in terms of your training program, in terms of your food, you're going to have a far much more enjoyable time doing this because life gets busy. That's what this is all about, okay? The 3-day training program is designed to work in your life. And a busy life sometimes means you have to cut your workout short, as much as we don't want that to happen. And then finalize the program. Ensure that sustainability and appropriate exercises are sequenced. The goal is to create workouts that feel balanced in terms of time, effort, and recovery demand. I would say that the Monday and the Friday session are the main ones which we're putting the most amount in. And then the Wednesday session, like I've said, is ones that we don't need as much recovery from. If Monday and Friday become too packed, Shift some exercises to Wednesday and adjust the frequency for certain muscle groups. Considerations for secondary muscles. So maintenance versus priority. There may be some muscles that you look at on your physique, especially for an intermediate to advanced trainee, where you're like, actually, I'm pretty happy with this size. I don't need to build up this area too much, but there are other areas to focus on. So how are we going to structure that? For muscles that aren't aesthetic or performance priorities, 3 sets per week may be sufficient for maintenance. So glutes, 3 sets of hip thrusts once a week. Adductors, 1 to 2 sets weekly, avoiding days where we're doing squat patterns or avoiding going before a squat pattern. Calves, be added any of these days, 2 to 3 sets. How many of you are looking to maintain your calves though? Just a little side note there. Consider your individual goals and prioritize when allocating training volume to secondary muscle groups. Okay. Secondary muscles still benefit from minimal effective volume. Just 3 sets weekly can maintain muscle mass, just to repeat that, whilst focusing on limited time and on other priority areas. Okay. So, and of course, we're talking about 3 hard sets. These are not just 3 casual sets. Key takeaways. So designing your 3-day training program needs to be focused on efficiency, choosing compound movements that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. They're going to give you the most benefit in terms of your time invested. 2 quality sets per exercise is sufficient if you're training hard. Distribute intelligently. Major muscle groups on Monday and Friday, with Wednesday being the supplementary and quicker to recover work. Prioritize sustainability with selected exercises you enjoy and recover from. Consistency trumps perfection in any training program. Okay. And probably more than one thing in your life right now. Consistency trumps perfection. Same with your diet, same with your workload. Just remember that. Remember that program design is personal. I've never created a cookie cutter training program that I've sent out to multiple different clients if I have not adjusted that program. Of course, I've got templates, but all of those programs have been adjusted to that person's preference, that person's priorities, that person's time commitments. If it's not personal, you can still make progress, don't get me wrong, but it probably won't be as enjoyable, it won't be as effective, and you may be doing more work in certain areas that you don't necessarily need to, okay? Adjust based on your recovery ability, performance, and available equipment. I would say probably this is one of the more bigger priorities. Of course, whenever you start on any new training program, there's probably going to be a higher level of demand of recovery at the beginning. There's going to be a higher level of exercise learning as well at the beginning. So you might notice that your strength increases more quickly. But just remember that if you can't recover from it, what's the point? Yeah, you're just beating yourself up for the sake of beating yourself up. We need to recover and grow from it. The internet often overcomplicates training hugely. So creating an effective full body training program can be simple when following these principles. If you are interested in a bit more education around either training programs, or you're looking for a 4-day or a 5-day training program, breakdown video like this, then you can probably watch them on my YouTube channel in other areas, or you can find all my resources and educational material on my school platform, Empowered Through Education. Okay, more resources, pre-designed training programs, and if you prefer not to build your own, you can create all that using the principles. The link will be in the description below. There's also pointers on nutrition, advanced nutrition. It goes into everything and anything that you need to live a healthy and sustainable long lifestyle. Okay, so it's there. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Remember to be nice to people, eat your protein, and do your cardio.